This second option for your final presentation that uses presentation aids incorporates artificial intelligence, and I think is potentially a lot of fun. It's different than the traditional assignment for this final presentation, but AI is here, and I believe the sooner we learn how to incorporate it safely and in a way that enhances learning and doesn't avoid learning, as I've discussed on my lesson on AI as a tool or a crutch, the better. So if you've chosen this one, here's how you're going to go about it. So the first thing you're going to do is pick an AI generative app. I recommend either ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot because their basic apps are free and they're generally okay. They're not bad. Their upgraded versions are much better, but they also cost money. So these are free. So find those on the internet and use one of those. And then you're going to write a prompt. And what the first thing I want you to do is think about 7 to 10 ingredients that you can use in preparing a dish for a meal. So, and don't pick something that obviously goes together, that maybe from an existing experience or a recipe that you already have. Try to get a little funky and a little creative about the ingredients. I'll show you what I did here in just a moment. To really put AI to the test, can it create a recipe out of these 7 to 10 more or less random ingredients? Now, don't get goofy and include things that you wouldn't ever eat, but get creative. And then you're going to tell it to make a recipe, including complete preparation instructions. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's what I did using Copilot. I know this is a little hard to read, but in the box below, I typed, using only the ingredients below, create a recipe including full preparation instructions. And here are my ingredients: potatoes, cumin, plain yogurt, Kalamata olives, rigatoni, American cheese, salt, pepper, red wine, and beef jerky. Now I threw in beef jerky just to be goofy, but that's what I asked AI to use to create my recipe. And here's what it came up with. Okay, so I cook a little bit, and sometimes I make my own recipes, or I at least take recipes and enhance them or change them. So I'm not an expert, but I do have some basic skills in the kitchen. So here's what Copilot gave me, and I can tell you already it's going to be really horrible. For one thing, it left out the beef jerky. I don't blame it, but still, that was part of the instruction. It left out the potatoes, and it substituted feta cheese for American cheese. Now, I much prefer feta cheese over American cheese, but that's not what I told Copilot to do. And then if you look at the ingredients, I don't know how this is going to work out. I think it's going to be pretty horrible. Maybe not, who knows? Maybe I'm missing something. Also, one of the ingredients I included was red wine. This says to use a little red wine reduction. It doesn't tell you how to do a red wine reduction. It's not that easy. There's a special process to make a red wine reduction. So on first glance, this is a pretty bad recipe, but it's part of the fun, yes? So we'll see. I probably won't make it, but when you make yours, who knows? Maybe you'll come up with something brilliant. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do is actually make the recipe. Now, don't get crazy where you've got to go find a bunch of ingredients or spend a whole bunch of money. Make this easy. This is obviously a bit of an experiment, and part of the point here is to learn how AI works, the upsides and the downsides. But And so if you get something on the first go round that is just completely undoable, try it again, but mention that when you actually make your presentation. But eventually make the recipe that you get from either ChatGPT or Copilot. All right, so once you've made your recipe and tried it out, you're going to do some additional research. And here's some examples of research that I did based on my recipe. So first of all, I went to Google Scholar and I found an article, The Use of Artificial Intelligence in Recipe Development. And all I'm going to do here, when I prepare my presentation for this, if I were to do so, is to mention something from this paper about that it talks about the pros and cons of using AI to develop a recipe. There's also here a paper about the nutritional benefits of potatoes. So I'm going to refer to that. So you're not going to go crazy again on the research, but go do something using either credible or scholarly sources that adds to the information that you're going to be presenting to your classmates. All right, and then finally you're going to write your outline based on the stuff you've done and submit that on deadline, and then you're going to choose the presentation aids you're going to use. Now you might just have as one presentation aid, have the dish in front of you and show what it looks like. Maybe you'll make it and taste it for the first time while you're doing the presentation. That would be fun. Whatever, but you're going to use at least 2 presentation aids according to the assignment that is in Canvas. And then of course you're going to do your rehearsing and get ready and meet all of the other requirements for this assignment. So you have 2 options again for this presentation aids final assignment. One is the special occasions, which is more of a traditional approach to this assignment, and this one is the inclusion of AI in the process. And if you choose this one and as you go through it, if you run into questions or aren't quite sure about something, this is an experiment. We're all learning about AI together. Drop me a note, reach out to me, we can have a chat.